Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to episode 38 of the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. I'm excited that you're here. As you're coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you today? I am in Virginia, hanging out with my dad. He took a spill a few weeks ago, and so we've been trying to make sure he's getting back up and on his feet. He's only 95 years young, so, this getting a little bit younger as you get older is sometimes a little bit challenging. Guys, if you are interested in being a social media manager, that's one scenario that means you're in the right place today. Or if you're a service-based entrepreneur and your clients are always asking you about social media, can you do this, that, or the other thing for me? Maybe you haven't considered adding social media as an income stream to your business. Then again, opportunity is knocking. We're going to talk about the potential there today. Or if your neighbors and your mom and your parents and your friends or whoever is constantly asking you to help them with social media, maybe there's an opportunity here. So we're going to talk about that as well. So, hey, Jeff, I miss you, my friend. Nothing is quite the same on the backside of this show without you. So got to get you back in here. So we have Mia. Oh, girl, I haven't forgotten about you. We are definitely going to connect. We have Cynthia from Silver Spring, Maryland. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lisa. Hey, Lisa. Oh, and my friend Paul is, he's always here. I'm so appreciative of him. Thank you, Paul, for being here. And we have Sherry from Utah. Okay, so if you've never been on one of my shows ever before, and you're like, who is this person and why is she showing up in my feed? Then let me introduce myself. My name is Kim Garst. I'm an online business strategist. We all have to label ourselves some way, right? It just basically means that I love helping people make more money in their businesses, their online businesses, primarily through social media. But the money really is on the digital side. So I'm also passionate about that. So bottom line, I just love sharing knowledge. I like doing things and then finding out what works and teaching it. That's kind of my jam. So if you are interested in growing your business, making more money with your business, then tune in. We're here every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, sharing not just knowledge, but wisdom from people that have been down the road. All right. So our special guest today, well, first, let me introduce our sponsor before we do that. And then I'll bring our special guest, but you guys are going to love her. I bring in some amazing folks, and today is no different. So our sponsor is easel.com. If you guys are not familiar with Easel, go check them out. kimgarst.com/easel, but we did partner with them on something amazing, and I want you to have access to it. It's the best way for you to check out what they're all about. If you go to kimgarst.com/free images, there's a 30-day calendar there of pre-designed content, and all you have to do is click on it. It'll open up inside of Easel, and you can brand the content. Lickety split. Check them out. Again, kimgarst.com/free images. Definitely don't want to miss that. And I do appreciate the fact that they sponsor this show. All right. So, like I said, I do have a special guest today, and I want you guys to know she is incredible. I've known Phyllis for, golly, we'll dig into that. Every time I say this about our guest, I'm like, man, we've been around a minute. But let me tell you a little bit about her. Phyllis is the author of Social Media Marketing E-Learning Kit for Dummies, and one of the original authors, I said original authors, of Facebook Marketing All-in-One for Dummies, first and second editions, with my friend Andrea Vall and Amy Porterfield. She co-founded Social Media Manager School, which is an online training program. We're going to talk about that more today. I mean, who else is more suited to talking about social media management, right? If somebody that's actually put together a school for it. The school was acquired by Agorapulse in January 2020, and it's gotten so much better, and I can't wait to tell you why that matters to you. So hang in there with us. We're going to talk about that. Phyllis is a highly acclaimed time management program, or has a highly acclaimed time management program for entrepreneurs that has transformed lives. So if you have issues with managing your time, you definitely want to tune in and get more info on that. She's also been quoted and featured in many books in the last 10 years. She's developed and presented training programs for Social Media Examiner, Marketing Profs, and social media clubs. She was a TEDx women's speaker and has been on multiple podcasts, including recently Gray Matters with Steve Dotto. And she's been on this show now. Well, in just a hot second, she's going to come. So you guys welcome Andrea to the show. Woohoo!
So it's great to be here. And it's funny, Andrea and I have been together with our business for so long that a lot of times people call me Andrea and then they'll call her. Yes, you did. And it's so funny. We're so glued together that way. And that's what happens when you run a business with somebody for over 8 years. Right?
Well, how embarrassing is that? But it's true. In fact, I'm just trying to remember. We've known each other for probably 8 or 9 years at least.
Easily, yeah.
Most of that time, it has been the partnership you and Andrea had. It's been a unit, it's
yes.
So okay, so I will try not to do that again. I didn't even
I'm used to it. It's totally okay. I get emails all the time saying, "Hey, what about Facebook ads?" And I'm like, "That's Andrea. That's not me."
Both wicked smart ladies, though, y'all. So they partnered just to show how amazing a partnership can be when somebody has a skill set, or one has a skill set that the other doesn't, and then you can just mesh those, which turns out to be an incredible opportunity for both. I think that both of you all would say that. So, hey, and Ian, how are you? Good to see you. And Rhonda says, welcome.
Hello, all right. Rhonda.
So, all right. Let's do a flashback for just a second, because like I said, Phyllis and I have been on this social media road for almost, I would say probably since it pretty much started.
Yeah.
And we've used it to grow our businesses, and it has been our business periodically over the course of the time that we've been using it ourselves. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how did you initially get started with the whole social media thing? What's the backstory on, oh my gosh, was it Facebook, or what gave you that aha moment? I got to get started here.
Well, the story of getting the book is very interesting. But what happened is once we published the books, then the books, as a lot of people know, don't really provide an income. They are basically a glorified brochure. You have to leverage a book into a business to be able to make income from this thing. So when we wrote the books, we figured it out. We were making 15 cents an hour writing the book. So we had to build a business from that. And because we had both Andrea and I, and Amy at that time too, we were doing things online all the time. We were promoting things. We were talking to people. We were building our email lists. Then Andrea and I decided to build the school. And the reason we were building the school is because we had our own social media manager clients, and we were managing them, and people were coming to us asking us, well, how do you do this and how do you do that? And so that's why we built the school.
Okay, so let's back up though for a second. How did the books start? Because they're social media related, so how did you get started with the concept of writing the books, and just kind of going back and getting clear on the relationship there? So many of you probably know Amy Porterfield and Andrea Vall and Phyllis Khare wrote those books, co-authored those, some of the very first social media books ever. So how did that journey start? You had to have some experience by that time to write a book.
Right. So I was very active on Twitter, especially, and also on Facebook at the very beginning. But what happened is, this is where it's really important to know people, because a very good friend of mine has already, I mean, she has probably about 15, 20 books that she's either authored or co-authored or edited, and she's a wily author. And she was talking to her editor, and the editor says, I need somebody to do this thing with WordPress. And so she recommended me because I was building a WordPress site and I posted online all the time, like I knew what I was doing. And so the editor came to me and said, would you write a book on how to use WordPress for websites? Now, this was when WordPress was only known for a blog space. Nobody had figured out how to use it for a website yet. That's how far back this goes. And so I was going to write that book. I built the table of contents. I sent in the proposal. Everything was done. And the editor wrote back and she said, oh gosh, I'm sorry. We've selected somebody else and I feel really bad because, I asked you to create this table of contents. Would you rather write Facebook marketing all in one for dummies? And I went, hell yeah.
What a story, right?
Yeah. And then that's how it all started. And then once we wrote that one, they contacted me and asked me to write social media marketing, e-learning kit for dummies. And this was a new thing for Wiley. They wanted to build, this is how far back this goes. They wanted to build an online training program, which was like, nobody was doing that.
Yeah.
And I said, sure. And at the same time, Andrea and I were building Social Media Manager School, which was an online training program. So that's how far back I go.
I always tell people, I go back a minute and, I've been around almost 30 years online. So the stories, though, are really powerful. So I have a favor for you guys that are with us today. If you're live or if you're on the watching on the replay, we could sprinkle this out, to quote my friend Molly Mahoney, sprinkle it out into the interwebs. Share it out, and because somebody probably needs this today, especially if you're looking to potentially create revenue being a social media manager. We're going to dig into that in just a second. And I forgot to mention the giveaways. Don't forget, we do giveaways on every show. So today we're going to give away a little. Actually, let me just hold it up here. It's easier. It's a little webcam cover. And we're also going to give away a ring light that goes on your phone. And all you have to do to win is drop in your hashtag aha moments. So if you hear something and you're like, aha, I didn't know that, or aha, I knew that, but I needed to hear it again. Anything that you hear that is what I would call an aha moment, just drop those in and we will pick winners from those aha moments. Okay. So if you're interested in winning some goodies today, definitely do that. Thank you, Sandy. And Jeff's saying, Jeff is saying, I love these origin stories. Yes. So, it's funny because we all have those stories. We sometimes don't think about them in the context of leveraging them to share the journey, because people want to know those things. Don't you think? I mean, people, you just don't start something and you're an overnight success. It just doesn't work that way. So one of the questions I hear quite frequently, and I would love your take on it, is do you need a social media and or a marketing degree of some sort to be a social media manager?
Oh, great question. Well, no is the short answer. I mean, if you have a marketing degree, that's going to help. If you have universities now offer degrees in social media management. So if you have that, that will certainly help. But I think the number one thing that you need is you need to like working with people. And that's really the bottom line, because as a social media manager, you are the in-between between them and their customer. And what you do either builds their business or destroys their business. So you have to really love people and want to be able to convey what the business is to other people. And that's the role of the social media manager. And I think that the more training that you have, the better, but you don't need it to get started, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that begs the next question. What skills do you need to get started? I think sometimes people think that they have to know it all.
Yeah.
When I'll just quickly share my story, and I bet you have one that's similar. So I was doing things in social, just trying to figure it out, like, throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something stuck. And but people kept asking me, "What? How are you doing that? What are you doing?" I mean, all the way to the very basics. Of course, back in the day, like how do you even tweet? So I always felt like I was just a step or two ahead of the next person, and people wanted to know what I knew. It wasn't like I felt like I knew everything when I
Mhm.
started. Would you say that that's true when you're just getting started? You just need to know more than the people that you're there to serve.
Right. I think that once you realize you're a person who likes to help other people, then you need to feel comfortable with technology and you need to be curious. You have to be willing to press the buttons, try the things, do the testing, spend time learning a new tool. That joy of exploring technology, I think, is really important if you're going into this field. And if you don't like technology and you don't like people, then you're not a social media manager. So I think that the willingness, I think, is the word there, the willingness to explore and be curious and click all the buttons and try all the things and test out new things is really important if you're going to be successful in social media marketing.
And honestly, I think those of us who own a business, we need to listen to that. We get so hung up on we're going to break it or we're going to do something wrong that we let that stop us, that fear factor of tech. And you do need to like press all the buttons and, play with things and test things, figure out what works. We talked a lot about that with Pinterest and the fact that Pinterest is this like major petri dish for testing.
Right, right.
So you can't be fearful of the things that are going to drive results in your business just because you don't know exactly what is around the corner. And I think that's
Mhm.
very, very relevant if you're going to be doing stuff for other people in service of other people's businesses.
Yes.
You've got to really lead the charge and not be so fearful of. And when it comes to tech, let's talk about that real quick because the only sure thing in social media is change. Like,
That's for sure.
what would you recommend? Like, if somebody is interested in maybe going down this road, or how do they stay on top of all of the changes that happen every day? Do you have some strategies or tips or tricks? And I think this is true. This would be value based, regardless if you're thinking about being a social media manager. How do you stay on top of it?
Yeah, well, of course, I'm going to really, really, really recommend that if you have those two qualities and you really want this to be your career or a good side hustle or part-time or whatever, that you get some training because it will shorten the amount of time you have to do the testing and trying and pushing all the buttons because the training will teach you how to do things. So finding a good training space. And of course, I'm sort of, like biased in saying social media manager school is like the best out there. So Social Media Manager School has all the online training, but the secret sauce in that whole thing is the community. If you can build a community or find a community and just get in there and ask all your questions and offer support to other people and be in good relationship with other people in this industry, this will get you light years ahead of where you would be on by yourself. So I think finding that community, finding those training programs that are going to take you that next step would be really important to do, especially now when there's so much to learn. And I'll have to say right off the bat, it used to be back in the day that you could be a social media manager and basically understand everything, every social platform, understand how to do it. And now, because each social platform is rather complicated in all the features and functions, it's more important now to decide if you're going to niche into something or if you're going to build an agency that handles all of them.
That's actually one of my questions. I'm
Yeah.
passionate about this, as you know. We've had
Yes.
many conversations about this. Um, And that was exactly the question. Do you recommend niching to a specific platform so that you can really become a master? So I'll just quickly share my story with you guys. When I started my first agency, because I've had 2 social media agencies so far, and the first one, I was convinced that I needed to be an expert on all socials if I was going to provide a service and do it for other people. Which is why I have the community that I have now, but I almost killed myself getting there, because trying to do it all, I was getting up at 5 a.m. to respond to everybody's tweets of the morning and, all kinds of like craziness and trying to keep, a knowledge base. Of course, when I first started, it wasn't quite as hard. Now it is really, it's almost crazy to try to keep track of all the daily changes that are happening. Mm-hmm. So it was hard, but I'm a broad spectrum gal, I guess you could say, because I've got a broad knowledge base across all the socials. But by virtue of that, I also am not an expert or known as an expert on any one social platform, like some others, like I'll just use a couple of people off the top of my head, like Subi Zimmerman is an Instagram expert, that kind of thing, where you're just known for that one thing. So do you recommend that in today's environment, in the social space as it is today, with all the constant craziness and tech movement, niching to a specific platform?
Yeah, well, I agree that people need to niche, but there's 3 different ways you can niche. You can niche for a platform. So you're the Instagram expert or the Twitter expert or the whatever. So by platform, or by skill, like you're really good at graphic design, you're really good at video, you're really good at copywriting, whatever that skill is. Or you can niche by industry. So it's real estate, or it's knitting, or it's horse things. I don't know, whatever the industry is. So platform, skill, or industry. And then you can really put your all into it. And it's so true that it used to be that you could just do everything. Now, most social media managers, when they first start out, they're generally, not everybody, but generally, they're just their own person, just like you and I started, and we have our own thing and we're taking care of everybody. And there comes a point in a social media manager's journey where they have to decide if they're going to continue just being that boutique social media manager who handles everything and is very selective about who they take on as a client, or if they're going to go the agency route. And I think that people know if they are more of a solo entrepreneur kind of person or a business builder. And at some point you hit that fork. I went solo entrepreneur and you went agency. So I think that's very interesting.
Well, and it's not that I started out with that intention. So now, because there's so much more knowledge and people that you can draw from their experiences, you have the opportunity to take a look at it on the front side of your business and say, which direction do I really want to go?
Yes.
Where for me, it was an evolution. It was just like, I started out as a solo, let me just help, a handful of clients kind of thing. And I would suggest that maybe even you could start there. You don't necessarily have to say, hey, I'm going to be an agency one day. Yeah. Although I will say this too, I have seen solopreneurs who are have a social media or present themselves as a social media agency, just for the impact that it gives. It's a value-based proposition where if you present yourself as an agency, even though you're it, a lot of times, the expectation is that you're bigger than you are, and so sometimes you can attract clients that you might not ordinarily attract because, all right, are you in your basement working from your home, or are you, it's just it's a silly dynamic, but it is definitely
it's definitely a thing. Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about that real quick too, because there are so many, there's so many names, if you will, of how you position yourself. It goes back to, are you an agency, or are you going to be a social media manager? Are you going to be a social media consultant, a strategist? There's ways of valuing and positioning yourself.
Yes.
The semantics of what you call yourself. What's your take on that? I mean, is there a hierarchy of from a monetization standpoint?
Well, that's a great question. I think the way that I would want to answer that is that it's really important you be true to you. And what happens a lot of times in a social media manager's journey, and I've seen this with thousands of people through the school, is they start out implementing, doing all the work. And then what happens is they either decide, I need team members because I can't handle all this work. And they start building that agency. And then they become the consultant. They become the strategist while everyone else does the implementing. And I think that even as a solo entrepreneur, what happens many times is that they decide, well, I just don't find any joy in this implementing. I'm just going to be the consultant and the strategist. So I think they all end up at some point doing what they love the most. But a lot of people do end up not doing the implementing and having team members do that, no matter which type of business model they use. And they become the strategist, because the more you know, the more you can see that higher function of the marketing online, and you become more of a online marketing specialist instead of a social media manager. And those words really do matter if you're building a business.
Yeah, they really do. So let's just circle way back to the very beginning and talk about, what does a social media manager even do?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, it really depends. It depends on your client. And so, like I said, you're basically the interface between the business and online. Now, here's the thing. A lot of business owners understand that they have an offline reputation, that people in their community or their industry, they know who they are by reputation, but they haven't translated that to online yet. And so a social media manager is the person who takes that offline reputation and puts it online and have that social authority online. But the things that you actually do as a social media manager is that you are presenting content. Now, content is text, it's images, it's video, it's GIFs, it's all the things that can be posted online in a way that is flattering and favorable and attractive to the business's audience. And so every day you might be crafting posts for Facebook, you might be crafting things for Instagram, you might be creating things for YouTube, you might be doing all sorts of different things, taking information from a landing page and turning it into 100 different tweets. So you're that in between, taking that content, hopefully, that's magnetized to an audience and highly shareable, and posting that online. So that's really what a social media, and you can't really say exactly what a social media manager does, because every business that they represent has something a little different to offer, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing too. So, like some clients that I've had in the past, and I bet this is true for you, they wanted to be responsible for creating the content, and that's honestly. That's good and bad. I'll just, from my personal experience anyway.
We have stories.
Yeah, we have stories. At first you're like, okay, good. They're going to create out of the content. Yay, that's awesome. And then it's like pulling teeth to get the content, or the content is all buy for me. They don't understand the dynamics of what types of content is actually going to attract people to their businesses. And so it very rarely, in my opinion, have I had a positive experience with letting the client take charge of the content. I don't know about you, Phyllis. Have you ever felt that or had a great experience with the client actually doing the content creation?
Well, I actually have a great story about that. I keep clients even now because I like keeping boots on the ground and figuring out what things do, so I can teach my people how to do things. So I have these two clients. The first client is a blogger and a podcaster and a YouTuber, and he has more content than I could ever share in a day. I mean, it's like so much content. He's a 13 Emmy Award winner in journalism, so his copy is great. I'm just like crafting out of that, and he has given me free reign, and it is a blissful experience. And then I have another client who has a product that's coming out, and all he wants to do is post, here, buy this, here, buy this, here, buy this. And I'm like, and I'll craft all these things, and then he'll say, can we just put the thing in more of the pictures? And he finally said, I need to craft the social media marketing. And I'm like, red flag. All right. So that type of client needs to learn to let go a little bit and learn to trust the social media manager who's been doing this for 10 years. But a lot of times business owners, they feel like social is just a sales machine, and that's all they want to post. And so there you go. So one client is providing great value and information and beautiful content for his audience, and has built it to well over 1 million people. And the other one is just like, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. So that's our experience, right?
Yes, and the one that will be successful on social media is the amazing client that she
Yes.
recommended, and you can. It's obviously by evidence, also where he's built his community very effectively using
Yes.
value-based content.
Yes, exactly.
Versus buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me.
Yeah.
But that is a balance that you'll have to, and you as a social media manager will have to understand that you can fire people. They are not your person. You can't help them, because at the end of the day, if they don't get the result that they're after, they're going to blame you. So it's a fine balance. It's one of those things where you have to educate them as you go, or attract the right person out the gate. Somebody, and that can sometimes be a challenge, because I've had clients who will tell me exactly what I want to hear. Oh yeah, we get it. We know we got to communicate. We got to give value, and then when it comes right down to it, not so much. So
yeah, I do want to make the point though. My client that has all this great content, he does sell a lot of things. He's got ebooks, and he's got courses, and he's got lots of things. It's just the whole package that he produces is he's in service to people. He loves giving the things, right? And then they don't mind buying from him. And so it's a beautiful mix. It's a well honed through time that he's got that mix down. It's so true. Expectations, just want to say this so I don't forget, because sometimes I forget, is that expectations when you're working with a client, that's like the biggest conversation to get out from the customer, the client. What is their true expectations for being on social? And then to set that as a goal, and then just support that as best you can.
Yeah, such wisdom there, seriously. And Sandy's asking, do you maintain that type of client that just wants to sell, or do you let them go, as they can be hard to convince? I mean, have you ever had a positive transformation from that person who is very hard-headed and just wants to sell, to an evolution of educating them and showcasing? I've not had a whole lot of success with that. I'm just curious if you have.
No, there is a lot of education with those types of clients. You do, like I have spent more time in email saying, generally in social media, generally with social media marketing, and then I explain the whole thing even more. And he is learning, but the core of being a businessman outside, offline, is so strong that making that transition anytime soon is not going to happen. With those types of clients, I generally view them as project based. So I set up my contract with them for 3, 4, 5 months, and that's it. And then I say, okay, this has been fun. Now you have 4 months worth of content that you can repurpose. Have fun, and then I let them go if they're challenging that way.
Oh, that's wicked smart, as well. Very, very good. I think so. And I want to say this real quick, because I think when you're first starting out, you're fearful of letting go of those clients, because you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to replace that client?
Yeah.
And so you put up with I will just say it, just frankly, just out loud, you just put up with the crap because you think you can't do any better. How are you going to get the next client? Trust me, it's not worth it eats at your soul when you have a client like that. If you could take the time and energy that you're spending on that client and find the next client, one that's more suited to you, trust me, you are going to be in such a better place. So don't let the fear keep you in a bad situation, if at all possible. I know it's easy to say, but trust, we have been there. Have we not been there?
Not only us, but thousands of people inside the school come in and say, my biggest client who's driving me nuts, I have to fire, but I'm scared. And then they'll come back the next week. Oh, I got 3 new great clients.
Exactly.
And this has happened for 10 years. So it's a thing.
Yes. And so we're going to, in a moment, I'm going to open up the social media management school and show you, or go to the landing page and show you guys why this is going to matter to you and how you can get some free training, or how you can pay in, well, actually technically get free. We're going to talk about how you can just get free. I like the free. Okay. So when it comes to, like, let's say, for example, somebody says, okay, my neighbors or my friends or, whomever is constantly asking me, maybe I have existing clients if you already have a business and they want me to do the social media for them. Like, where do they get their first client? I mean, how do you get started with just saying, okay, I'm going to do this and I need my first person. What's your best advice for that?
Well, it's a funny thing. So many people have asked this question, and people have come into the group and they said, I just put a post up on Facebook that I'm taking this training to be a social media manager, and I had 5 people contact me. When people know that you can do social media management, a lot of times they will just come to you, but you have to open your mouth and tell people. And so that might be offline or online. It might be, just to a close group of friends. It might be inside of some other sort of networking group that you're involved in. So just letting people know is like a big first step. And, but there are also people who go to their favorite nonprofit and say, I would love to help you with your social media management for the next 3 months for free in exchange for a good testimonial. And then once they do that work and work out all the kinks and how they do the social media management and they get that testimonial, then they can start marketing themselves as someone who can do this work.
That's such great advice. And one of my kind of, like, I guess it's kind of a pet peeve, but it's also comes from a place of experience and helping people try to figure this out over the years is, and I'd love your opinion on this, is when you're trying to figure out what you charge people, are you charging based on the time you put into it, like an hourly rate? Or should you charge a value-based pricing model, or, based on what you're doing and the ultimate marketing goal that your client has, hourly or value-based?
Well, it's funny. Most people come from an hourly based model, and it's very challenging for them to switch to that value based. But we have always, like from the very beginning, said don't charge by the hour, because what happens as a social media manager, if you're charging, let's say, $20 an hour to create 100 tweets, but you get better and better and better at that, so now it only takes you 10 minutes to do 100 tweets, you are actually taking a price cut, and you are self-imposing less money on yourself, but you're bringing more wisdom to it. So we never say to do it by the hour, ever. We always set up a project-based or a monthly retainer pricing thing. And we have a pricing guide inside the school where you can take all of your overhead and your business expenses and everything that you do, and you can come up with your consulting rate. And your consulting rate is what you kind of plug into this formula to figure out how to do a monthly retainer or how to do a project-based fee. And I always recommend that people do it that way and not by the hour. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. So I didn't know exactly, was she going to say hourly? Because I absolutely, and the more skill you get, the faster you start to get at the work.
Yeah.
And if you've assigned a dollar value to your time, well, go work at McDonald's, because you could probably make more money if you're going to do it that way. Plus, you can't scale that time. So value base your time. And that's usually the first struggle is how do I charge people? What, okay, I've got people that are interested. Now what? So like I said, you're going to have some, in a moment, we're going to give you some tools that you can potentially log into the Social Media Manager School and have access to all a plethora. That word does not want to come off my tongue.
Plethora.
That word. So if you are interested in this, trust me, we've got amazing something to share with you in just a moment. So don't forget, guys, I'm not the only one that can ask questions here. So if you guys got questions, plug them in. We will definitely pull those up, and you can ask questions and pick Phyllis's brain as well as I can. I promise. Okay, so let's assume that somebody is saying, yeah, okay, I want to do this. I'm gonna either start a new business, I'm gonna add this as a revenue stream, or something I haven't even thought to tell you guys yet. Maybe you don't want to do your own social media, but you have somebody that you know that could do it for you, and you want to train them. Like, you want your own person. Maybe you have somebody on your team already, or you have a teenager or a friend or anybody that ultimately you would like for them to start doing your social media. You are in the right place. I'm just saying. Okay, but from the possibility standpoint, when it comes to social media and being a social media manager, adding this to your revenue stream, whatever the scenario is, what is the possibilities for somebody from an income perspective? Because I think sometimes people think that, like, just to get to a six-figure business, how am I ever going to get there? Yeah. And when you break it down, it doesn't really take that much. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Back to that pricing guide thing. So as a freelancer or a potential agency owner, you have expenses and overhead. And if you plug that into the spreadsheet, and then you put how much you would like to make in a year, how many days and hours and months you have available to put towards this, it spits out how much you have to charge for everything that you do. So it makes it really quite doable, because you can adjust that income stream to be a certain number, and then you go, oh, look, I only need 4 clients a month to do this at this rate. So it makes it quite doable. I don't want people to think that it's some sort of mystical thing about, oh, well, maybe I'll make this amount of money. If you're very strategic about it and you follow the steps, you can make the amount of money that you want to make. And there's plenty of business out there, just plenty of business out there. There are a lot of social media managers who this year, which was like a crazy year, have made more money than they've ever made, just because there are more people who wanted help marketing their business. So I think that's awesome. Also, there's this really, really good question I hear. I just want to answer real quick, because they say, well, if getting paid is one thing, but when do you get paid? I've always recommended to people, thank you, that you get paid before you do the work, at the top of the month, in other words. Or if you're doing project-based, you get paid at least half upfront, and then before you start the second half. Before you start the second half, you get paid, because you're doing the work. And if you do the work and then bill them at the end of the month, like a lot of businesses used to do, what happens is a lot of times they say, oh, we don't have the money, or, oh, it's going to be 90 days or whatever, and then you don't get paid. You did all this work for nothing. So we always recommend you get paid, and you put that in your contract. And yes, social media managers need contracts with their businesses. And I know that was a lot to pack in there, but those were all really important.
Yeah. And there are example contracts inside of the Social Media Manager School as well. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and if you could get the Social Media Manager School for free, like, I'm just hinting a little bit, we're going to get there in just a second. But when it comes to deciding what kind of revenue you want in your business, if you're a solopreneur, so I'll just use myself as an example. When I started my first business almost 30 years ago, I really just wanted to make, $200 a month. Like, now think about that in the context of today. Maybe you just want to make, $1,500 a month to, so your kids can go to a private school, or whatever your end goal is. Everybody has a why. What is it that they want, and how do they go about it? Just again, just looking at it from the perspective of like, if that's your goal, I mean, that's really just one client, one client at $1,500 a month, and you've met your first income goal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take, it doesn't take 100 clients to get to your income goal. It really only takes, 5 to 8 clients to get have a 6-figure business.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you think about it in that context, I think sometimes people, just think it's out of the realm of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to paint the possibility that it's not. You can do amazing things right from your couch or your pile up on your bed if you want. The reality is you can have knowledge that people will pay you for. Yes. And happily pay you for, because at the end of the day, it's going to be something that's going to give value to their business. And they are open to and the bigger thing I'm sorry, I'm so excited about this. Passionate about people stepping into this is, with COVID, so many people are realizing they need a side hustle, and they are creating side hustles, which creates all these additional new businesses, which gives social media managers an opportunity to help those new business owners too. So there's this whole influx of opportunity right now. That I'm just excited, for anybody that's interested in potentially generating revenue like this. It could be amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so I've been telling you guys, and let's see if we've got any other questions. All right, I wanted to pull up the social media manager school, which we've referenced multiple times. And I wanted to show you one which you could get totally free, how you can get the entire course, the whole school itself, the premium version of it, also for free. Okay, so let me pull this up. Let me pull my screen up here. Okay, so one of the things one of the tools that I'm super passionate about is Agora Pulse. Agora Pulse is a social media management tool that saves me hours and hours and hours. I can't even tell you how many hours it saves me, not only daily, but weekly and certainly monthly. I'm able to schedule all my content in social media. All my social media content inside of Agora Pulse. Make sure that it goes out when it's supposed to and all of that. But I'll just give you a quick visibility into one of the things that I do. I build out what's called queues inside of Agora Pulse so that my content cycles. It's cyclical, so I don't have to continually reschedule it. I have 600 blog posts, and I can put those into a queue, and they just cycle through and are tweeted or posted on Facebook or wherever automatically based on a schedule that I tell the program to when it basically goes out when I tell it to, like if it's ever 15 minutes on Twitter or whenever it is. So it saves me hours and hours and hours of time. And I'm super passionate about not just the tool, but the people. The people that comprise or support, own this tool are incredible. I love all of them. I've been part of the journey, or at least from the outside, and I'm friends with the one of the founders of Agora Pulse. So super passionate about it. And if you guys want to get I think it's 2 free months, you can go to kimgarst.com/Agora Pulse-deal. And why does that matter to you? Okay. So as you can see here on the screen, there is a social media manager school. And if you click on this, this is free for everyone. So anybody can have access to this. So if you click on this, you can see that there's content creation courses. There is social media strategy and trends. I mean, look at all this. There's marketing analytics, there's influencer marketing, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, live video and video creation. So there's a ton of just free stuff. There's no strings attached, none. All you have to do is go and sign up and voila, enroll for free. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to the premium school. The premium piece of this is where you're going to find more of the specifics on becoming a social media manager. And you can also get this free if you sign up to be a Agora Pulse user. So if you are in need of a social media tool, one, you can get 2 free months with this little deal that I have the link, if you follow the link below. But if you decide you want to be a social media manager and you know you need knowledge, you know you need the shortcuts, then you can sign up for this. Normally it's $997, but you get it free if you are a user of Agora Pulse. So there's all of this stuff, 30 social media lessons, over 30 plus hours of coursework, all of the things that we talked about, like the formulas for figuring out how you're going to charge, contracts, all that stuff is actually in the school. What am I missing, Phyllis? What have I not said?
Well, it's kind of funny because, in building the school, there was this process of each year we added more information to it. And we had to start grouping things into different sections. And so now inside the school, the premium version of the school, there is a whole section on just how to build a business. So it's like how to go out, how to network, where to go, where to find your community, all the things, and then contracts and proposals and all that in templates. So there's this whole how to take care of the money, all these business building modules. And then we have what to do on Facebook, what to do on Instagram, what to do on Twitter, what to do on Pinterest, what to do on YouTube, all of those things, all of that. But then in the middle, it's like, how do you build a strategy for a client? This is like a new thing that has been thrown into the mix of being a good social media manager. Is you have to have an ability to build a marketing plan or a small strategy. You have to be able to select goals for the client. You have to figure out how to track those goals. There's like this whole other level of joy for some people who really love that type of work in building a strategy. So now the school has all of that, plus the Facebook group. And the Facebook group has been a lifesaver for a lot of people because they go in there with a dilemma, and you have all of these professional people all over the world, newbies to small business owners, in there to answer your question as a part of it. It's just really beautiful.
Yeah, and I think I've been a part of this community for like ever, and what I find fascinating is if you have an issue with a client, like, my client's not getting this result, or I have a new client and I'm not sure how I market their stuff, you can go like tap into the expertise of all of the group members, and they're so supportive of one another. They're all on the same path. There's no like, okay, well, there's not enough work for us, so I'm just going over here. I'm going to hoard my knowledge and not share it. No, it's not like that at all. It's like a very supportive environment where you can get the help you need. You can get the knowledge you need, and not feel like you're alone. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when we're in this entrepreneurial world, I mean, especially now where we're kind of locked down, we're all in our homes. A lot of times what I would call the regular people in our world don't always get us. We're out there doing something different. And so finding and connecting with your people is just invaluable. So check out socialmediamanagerschool.com. That's where you can decide whether you want to tap into the free resources, or if you ultimately decide you want to take us up on the 2 free months for Agora Pulse, and get the actual school totally free.
Yeah, I want to make the point that you need to buy the annual Agora Pulse
Yes.
to get school for free, because there is a question there. So that deal is real obvious if you go and see all the things, but it's really quite amazing. When Andrea and I sold the school to Agora Pulse, we felt like we were giving it to the right people in the right hands, that they would take care of it and manage it and all of that. And that was really important to us because we had built this community and built this curriculum that was beautiful. in our minds at least. And we really wanted to make sure that the next set of people who took it the next step really cared about it. And Agorapulse is definitely an amazing company. And I'm so glad that we took that path and got it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Emmerich, who's is the owner of Agorapulse for years now, and he's just a heart-centered, servant-based person who really wants amazing things, not only for his customers, but for the people that work with him and support those that he's here to serve. So he attracts the best, and he wants the best for people. So you guys will, if you decide you want to check the tool out, you're going to be in wonderful hands, not just from the standpoint of the tool itself, but the school. Andrea is still Phyllis is still very involved in the school as well. I know. I can't believe I'm doing that, Phyllis. So smack me. I'm gonna that's crazy.
Well, just have Andrea on and call her Phyllis a few times.
And I'm going to do that. I just feel like I got to balance it out somehow. That is just, it's just interesting to me. Maybe it's because A comes before P and
I'm going to tell you a funny story. Andrea and I used to do webinars like many times a year, and we would set up the webinar, and then we would both come on screen and we'd both have on the same color shirts. And we were like, we did it again. How do we do that? and it was like, oh, geez. And I was like always the one who my closet's closest, so I had to go change mine. But we're very connected that way. A lot of people do that. It's totally okay. I don't care. Oh, there was a question a little bit back that I really want to answer because it really speaks to me, and it's something that social media managers all over the world have to deal with. And it's from Christy, and it says her biggest dilemma: my client's social media looks great, but mine looks terrible because I stay busy working for others. How can we find a balance between serving others while keeping our own social looking good? This is a big topic with social media managers, and everybody experiences this. And the way I have found to fix this is you make yourself your own client, and in your calendar, you block out time to work on your stuff, and you treat it with respect because this is your business. So on Monday, you have 2 hours set aside for working on your stuff. And on Thursday, you have another 2-hour block as if you were working with another client. And the thing about that is that you find a way to be focused that way, and you turn everything off and you just focus in on you and do the work that's good for you. So I think that's really important.
And so when I was teaching social media managers, I'm super passionate about this too. I can't believe I missed that question, but I agree with Phyllis wholeheartedly. Treat yourself as a client, and you are the number one client. So you do your stuff first thing in the morning. First, before you do anything for a client, you do your own, see to your own social media, because think about it. Like if I'm going to do social media, or you are going to do social media for someone else, and they go to your Twitter account and you have 10 followers, like, is that going to inspire confidence? So you really need to make sure that your social media platforms, or if it's one platform, is reflective of your knowledge base. If it isn't, then you're going to struggle to get the next client. So always treat yourself like a client. Do your own stuff first before you ever wade into your client stuff. Because if you wait until the end of the day, or even if you try to time block, sometimes the time blocks will work, but what if something comes up? It's client related, and the client work comes first. And then all of a sudden you've pushed yourself to the back burner again. Yeah. So you got to make sure you see to your own stuff first, but treat yourself like a client.
Yeah. And an interesting thing, and I think this is kind of a deeper level, especially for women, is that we tend to take care of people outside of ourselves. And so when it comes to having clients, we forget we have to build a business. You are a business owner, and a business owner has to market. And the way you market as a social media manager is you build your social sites, you create valuable content, and you figure out a way to help people. And then that business will come to you. But you have to take care of your business. Don't think about it as you. Think about it as doing the work to keep your business relevant and in a good space in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sandy won the ring light. Yay! Congrats, Sandy. And let's see. The webcam cover is Angela Smith Weber. Congrats. And if you guys will just, it looks like Rhonda dropped in the link. Yes, if you'll go to kimgarst.com/winner, give us your mailing address and we'll get that taken care of right away. All right. And I just want to give one more shout out to today's sponsor, which is easel.com. Guys, don't forget to go to kimgarst.com/free images. Snap up those 30, it's actually 30 pre-designed images. You can edit them, make them yours, and I think you're going to love them. So go grab those. All right. So Phyllis, where can everyone find you if they are wanting to connect? Like we talked about your time management course, but we didn't really talk about it. We just hinted at it in your bio. Where can they find more about you if they want to like connect, learn from you, etc.?
All they have to do is spell my name correctly. So if you can spell Phyllis correctly with the right number of L's and I's, and Khare with a silent H on it, so it's PhyllisKhare.com. And you can find all the links to all my things from there. My time management program is called timebliss.me. And that's all the things. And I'm on the socials everywhere as Phyllis Khare. So you can just go find me everywhere.
All right. And, don't make the same mistake I did and call her Andrea. Well, I don't even know. I'm having a brain cramp today. Anyway,
I'll have to message Andrea and tell her.
Seriously, like, oh my gosh. No, don't tell anybody. Well, I would just told the world. So I guess it won't hurt for Andrea to know. So I want to thank everybody for being with us today. I hope you got some nuggets and hopefully some inspiration on the potentially starting your own, either own business as a social media manager or adding the social media management role, maybe as an income stream, or finding somebody to do your own, train them up, and they can do your social media for you. So lots of options. Think about it and then take some action. Okay. So thank you, Phyllis, for being with us today. Super appreciative of you. You guys take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless.